Yo, what's up to everybody out there? Welcome to another edition of the Roundtable Talk. I am your host, C Money, and in this episode, we are going to be talking about the presidential election. It is roughly a couple of days after the election, and I'll talk about anything that went down, and it's good and bad. All I can say is, first off, congratulations to Donald J. Trump for becoming and being reelected to his second term as U.S. president, and also he has one of the few presidents that has been elected to two terms in different years. That's not back to back. Anyway, let's go. Let's get in. Jump into it. I've been watching social media for the past few days, and I've been watching a lot of people, and there has been terrible comments. You know, a lot of people they're in disbelief. There are some people that don't care. There are some people that is crying. There are some people that just want to give up. There's a lot of things that's going down to where it's a lot. First of all, I'm gonna just come out and say it. Yes, I did vote for Kamala Harris. Yes, I am a Democrat. I try to keep my political views to myself because this is a YouTube show, and you know, and basically I might have Republicans as well as Democrats that watch this show, so I have to keep my opinions to a minimum. Even though you have a right as an American citizen for freedom of speech, I don't like to, weigh off on things. I like to say, in my opinions, and it may offend some other people. So I try to keep what I think and my own personal opinions. I try to keep them away from this show, even though sometimes I do give out my opinions and I do give out things that I feel is right, and I might say some things in this episode, and some people may find offensive, some people may find wrong, some people may find it's okay, some people may find it's not okay. That's all about, my personal opinions. It's not about this is what I feel should go down, it's just my opinions. There was a lot of wrong things with this election. There was a lot of things that was wrong with this, and I've told a few of my coworkers yesterday. I was talking about it, and then I was saying, you know, I took to social media about it, and now I'm telling my viewers of my show there was a lot of things wrong with this campaign, at this election, I should say. First off, let me start off. Um, what can I say? Basically, this election did not go according to plan. I've seen a lot of people on both sides. I've seen a lot of people that say they hate Donald Trump, and I've seen a lot of people that say they hated Kamala Harris. I've seen a lot of people that say they don't care for both of them, but they don't want this person to win, they don't want that person to win. I've heard people that say they don't care for both of them, but they don't want Donald Trump to win. I've seen people that say they don't care for both of them, but they don't want Kamala Harris to win. It's like basically it's like two sides of a story, and not only that, there are maybe five reasons why this election didn't go well. And I'm going to tell you one of the reasons is this is how I feel that America is really bad. Number one, less than 5 months before the election, you pushed Joe Biden out for running again. Yes, I agree that because of his age and his health, yes, he should have stepped down from running. My thing is, he should have did it before he started. He should have did it and said, "I'm not re-running for presidency," and he should have stepped down rather than go and try to run again for president. He should have just stepped down and say, "Because of my health and my age, I run." But to me, I don't believe age is a problem because just this past election, we elected a congresswoman, and I just found out that this congresswoman who's here in South Florida, named Frederica Wilson, is 81 years old, and I'm like, I didn't know she was that old. I thought she was in her 60s and 70s, and I'm like, you Americans, and I've said this in several of my episodes, and it pertains to basically dating, but this now is pertaining to thing, and I've seen several TV shows that have had that have addressed this issue. You're pushing away the elderly people from working. You're pushing the elderly people away from doing anything. You do realize now in the economy, you have to be working until you're damn near 90, 95 years old because the cost of living keeps going up. And government and Social Security and all of that is not enough to help pay for nothing. As a human being, you have to have at least 2 to 3 jobs to actually survive in the United States, and some people can't even survive off of that, And y'all pushed Joe Biden. I'm not saying y'all and the people that's watching, but in general, the people pushed Joe Biden and pushed him out. Oh, he's too old. Oh, he's health. And I said this on social media. Joe Biden has to probably be one of the healthiest men out there. Because I guarantee you, if not, there is a doctor that either lives on the White House property or lives near the White House property where they're on call 24/7 to where if the president wakes up in the middle of the night and say he has a headache or say something's wrong with him, the doctor's there less than 5 minutes. Of course, there has to be, because that has to be one of the most healthiest persons out there. But oh, he's too old. He keep catching COVID and he's this and he's that. I don't believe an age factor should play in somebody being elected to any office or anybody being offered a job. If you're 80 years old and you're seeking a job at Walmart, nobody or seeking a job anywhere, you shouldn't deny a person because of their age. I've seen several TV shows that address this issue where they won't hire nobody of a certain age. I've seen, because my mom, she's an elderly woman, and my mom wants to work, but because of her health issues, it's hard for her to actually work or to go to work. But my mom wants to work. But I've told my mom, hey, because of your health issues, it's going to be hard for you to work, And a lot of these people, they want to work, but it's just the economy and the people out there will say, hey, you're 60 years old. We don't want you. You're too old, and a lot of these things. And basically, that's what they did to Joe Biden. They said, hey, you're too old. You need to not run for president no more. And they did it, so they pushed them like how a bully pushes somebody to give them to give you their lunch money. That's the same thing they did with Joe Biden. They pushed him so hard where he had no choice but to not seek re-election. That's one thing. Number 2, since he couldn't re-elect, he had to push somebody to run with his short notice, and he pushed Kamala Harris, who was just his vice president. Now, she only had less than 5 months to prepare for this election. To me, that was way wrong. Because normally when a person, that's like saying you have 5 months to get ready for a test, or you have 3 days to get ready for a test. That means now you have to go here and go get the books and study and do all this. You have to be cramming within those 3 days to ace that test. And that's basically what happened with Kamala Harris, in my opinion. She had to rush and oh, I gotta go to this thing, I gotta go to here, I gotta go there, I gotta get some money up, I gotta build my campaign up, I gotta do this. And in less than 5 months, she had to do that because of the fact that she was forced into this position. Not saying that she wanted to do it, but I don't believe Kamala Harris wanted this position. Number one, you already know America is not ready for the first female president. You see what they did to Hillary Clinton, and they rode her like a coattail, and it didn't get her nowhere. Let alone a black president. Even if she is mixed or not, she's dark skinned. And America was not going to go for that either. So you know that there wasn't going. And then you pushed her into a few months before this presidency. Because you know when you run for president or run for any political office, whether it's a mayor, commissioner, you know you got to start at least a year or two in advance to get everything up. You know you got to start like 2 years prior, because you know you got to go through all the paperwork to get proper channels to be even on the ballot, to even campaign. And then a year from your election, you got to start going out and you got to get money up. You got to go to voters and say, hey, I want your support. I need, you know, contributions. You know, I need campaign money and all that. You need all of that, you know, and it takes you almost a year or two to get all of that done. Kamala Harris only had a few months. And it's like she had to go out there and rush and get all of these campaign funds and fundraisers and all this stuff and campaign and all that. So she was rushing for that. She didn't have time to sit down and say, okay, we can do this, we can do this. She had to go, okay, so in my opinion, that was another reason, you know. And then it's like, basically, you gotta cram everything into these couple of months. This wasn't a fair race, because you kicked out one person, you kicked out one candidate because of their age and their health, and you forced another candidate in a couple of months before the race. You know, that's like saying the race is in 1 hour, but this person can't race, but this other person can. That's like you having a run race, and this person, you know, throws his back out in less than an hour of the race, and then they can't race no more, but you got somebody else that can race, and they wasn't prepared for this race. Now they gonna run in a race that they wasn't prepared for, and they don't have not prepared, no shoes, no nothing, but they gonna race. That's the same thing you did with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And I want to say this. I didn't like the fact how they did it. Now, I agree with most of it, because I agree, yes, Joe Biden has health issues. And I don't think that he should have ran for another 4 years because of the fact of his health issues. You know, because, yeah, he may be one of the healthiest people out there, because I'm quite sure they have to keep the president healthy, and they have to eat healthy foods, and they don't eat junk food like how we do. We take chips to McDonald's and Burger King every other day, and we eating all this fried foods and all that. Yeah, they probably give them healthy foods, you know, just like the basketball players do. They have to have a strict health diet, you know, when it comes to certain foods they eat. But at the same time, you shouldn't have said, oh, you got to get out. Like you did him, like they evict somebody out of an apartment or a house, like get out. And I'm like, whoa, we're a couple of months away from this election. If y'all wanted this man not to rerun, y'all should have did that way before, you know, we started the campaigning process. Don't wait till, you know. And then a lot of people was like, oh, Kamala didn't know much and Kamala didn't know this. First of all, she was a prosecutor. And a lot of people didn't like that they was going to hire a prosecutor as a presidency. Well, look what you just did. You just voted for a felon, because allegedly Donald Trump is a felon. Remember, he got convicted in Georgia and even took his mugshot. You realize now that he's elected, nobody can touch him. Because I've told a lot of people this, and I've had a lot of people that had negative views about this. I say, look at the issue with the Stormy Daniels case. That's still an ongoing investigation. Look at the case with him having the documents in his Palm Beach County, you know, residency, and he had presidency documents. and then look at everything else that's coming out when he tried to overturn the election and had them people storm the state capitol, you know, and then the same thing with the Georgia incident, when he tried to overturn the election with the Georgia votes and all of that. Look how he has like 5 or 6 cases against him, and not only that, it's basically like he is a convicted felon. So you rather have a convicted felon than a prosecutor as in office. See, now nobody can touch him because he's the presidency. Because remember when he was president, nobody couldn't do nothing to him. Nobody couldn't sue him. Nobody couldn't charge him with nothing because he was the president. Once he got out of office and Joe Biden became president, the Stormy Daniels case came out. All these allegations towards him came out because they can touch him. Now, as a president, they can't touch him because he is the president. And I'm like, you know what? And then with this Project 2025 that's finna happen, well, now they're gonna take away all of our services, and they're gonna take away a lot of services and stuff that happens. Just like I was talking about Obamacare with my coworkers, and we was talking about Obama. I say, look what he did with Obamacare, and they was like, yeah, he got rid of Obamacare, but they put another. I say, that man didn't want anything to do with Barack Obama. He didn't want any services that Obama created. Basically, we was talking about how the rich was getting richer and the poor was gonna get poor. And one of my coworkers was like, "Yeah, there is going to be no middle class. It's gonna be the rich and the poor. There's no such thing. There ain't gonna be no such thing as middle class." And yeah, everybody's been talking about it for years, even before Donald Trump came, that there won't be no Social Security. Like, yeah, we know, like in 30, 50 years, there ain't gonna be no Social Security, because look at what we're doing now. There are a lot of people out here that are on Social Security, from 20-year-olds to 70-year-olds on Social Security. And the money that we're paying for Social Security is supposed to be money for us when we retire. But by the time we retire, it ain't going to be no Social Security. And they're trying to get it where the government wants you to work till you 90 years old. And I told one of my coworkers, I said, yeah, you're going to be up here doing your job, but then you just going to pass out. You're going to be 90 years old. And I told them, you're going to be a 90-year-old man flipping burgers, and then you're going to flip a burger and pass out. Or you're going to be a 90-year-old man, performing an operation, and then you're going to die before you finish the operation on the operational table. A lot of these, government wants you to, allegedly they want you to retire. They want you to work up to the day you die, because it's no Social Security out there. Look how many people I done seen that said, I tried to apply for food stamps and they said I make too much money. I've had several people in it, and I've had it myself. I did it myself. I've applied several times. Years ago when I was younger. For food stamps and stuff, you make too much money, or you don't qualify and all this. And I've had a lot of people that came to me and said, yeah, they say the only people that basically can get government assistance is women with kids, and even elderly people. One time, my mom tried to apply for food stamps, and she only got a couple of dollars, and she's on a fixed income, and I'm like, dude. People on fixed income should be able to get some type of government assistance. You got $1,300 rent, $1,200 rent. People paying over $1,000 in rent, and you want us to go out here and spend our money on groceries and stuff like that. Yeah, now you're doing these little healthcare cards where now you can pay for your groceries with healthcare cards. But I mean, to me, I feel like finally you want to do something. But at the end of the day, that's still not doing nothing. To me, and then everybody is so for Trump. Like, I live here in South Florida, and a lot of the Cubans was happy, and a lot of the, Cubans and stuff was happy because they elected Donald Trump. I was telling my coworkers, I said, first of all, that man don't want none of y'all family members in this country. That man trying to build a wall to keep y'all out of this country. But y'all voted for him. And then once he got on and did his speech, he said, oh, we're going to build the wall and we're going to let them come in, but we're going to let them come in legally. Couple of years ago, you didn't want nobody, no foreigner, no Creole, Haitian, you didn't want no immigrants, no Cubans, no not, you didn't want no immigrants in this country. Now that you got elected, oh, we're gonna let them come in here legally, and I'm like, y'all don't realize what is happening. Now we're gonna be, and I've seen this on a lot of I've seen this on social media where a lot of people say we're gonna go back to modern times. Some people say we're gonna be in the fields picking cotton again, doing that. I said no, because a lot of people are saying they're praising Trump like, oh, he the one that gave us the stimulus. I say, y'all don't realize Trump did not give us some stimulus checks, and there are people that are still to this day say, yeah, he gave us a stimulus. He had to prove. No, you realize Congress had to pass a law. Yes, it had to go through Trump and he had to sign it to pass it. But they had to come up with that law because if it wasn't for those stimulus checks, a lot of these people would have been on the street. These, I probably would have been on the street. When 2020 hit, I wasn't working and I wasn't making any money. Granted, I had money saved up, I had cushion money and all that, but at the same time, I wasn't working, you know. And I look at it as if there are a lot of people out there that was living from paycheck to paycheck. There was a lot of people that was out there, struggling because they couldn't pay ends meet. And a lot of these rental companies, like my rental company, they only told people, hey, if you having trouble, paying rent because you got laid off due to COVID, just talk to us and we'll work out something. They ain't say, oh no, you can stay here rent free until you get back on your feet and nothing like that. And I believe that the government should have actually passed a law saying all rental properties should cease payments until this COVID-19 gets over, at least until the end of 2021, because even though I went back to work in December of 2020, and I was grateful for the very first person that they called back to work, and one of the few, it was like five of us, basically they called back to work, and I was a regular worker. They called back management and supervisor stuff, but I was one of the ones they called back to work, and I was grateful to be one of the very few to call back to work. But a lot of people, they was out of work for almost 2 years. There was some that didn't want to go back to work because they didn't want to go out there and catch COVID. There was some that their companies were shut down for about 2 years and they couldn't do nothing. Or there were some people that basically their companies folded and closed to where they couldn't go back to work to the same company. They had to try to find employment. And then during COVID, employment was really hard to find because a lot of these restaurants, they wasn't doing dine-in like that. They was only doing takeout and delivery. So as a waitress or a waiter, you couldn't get a job because a lot of these places like, oh no, we're just gonna have the cooks and we're gonna have the people making the food for delivery, because you didn't need waitresses or waiters back in 2020 and 2021 because restaurants wasn't open. They was only doing drive through and delivery. And the only persons that was, if you go to McDonald's, you ain't had nobody at the front register taking your order. You had to either go through the drive through to get your order, or you had to order online because it was it. And if you had restaurants like Chili's or Denny's and stuff where they had sit down table service, you didn't have a lot of waitresses and waiters, that was out of work. You had 99% of the waitresses and waiters that worked in restaurants, they was out of a job. There was only 1% that worked because they had a few that came in and was probably fixing the lunches and packing up the food to where it can be ready for the delivery service or stuff like that. But most of the waiters and waitresses, they was out of work because there was no table service. So, and then I look at it as if y'all got to look at certain things. Yes, the stimulus checks helped out a lot of people. And a lot of people say, yeah, people are going around and say, yeah, y'all praising Trump because he gave us some stimulus. I say it wasn't Trump that gave us some stimulus. It was the government. It was Congress that passed the law, even though it had to go through him and he had to tell them, and he had to pass the law. But Congress had to make up had to do that because they had no choice, And I look at it as if this election didn't go according to plan. It's because of the fact that they only gave Kamala a little bit of time to vote. I'm not putting that Donald Trump is a bad person, and I'm not putting that Kamala Harris is a bad person. I just say that this election wasn't, it wasn't planned out well. Kamala Harris didn't have a year or two to plan for this. I'm quite sure she will probably go and seek another campaign run in the next 4 years. I'm quite sure, and this Project 2025 where they say, they're going to get rid of, you know, Head Start programs, they're going to get rid of certain services for the elderly, they're going to get rid of a lot of services and cut back on a lot of things. Yeah, because I've seen it on social media where they're going to do away with a lot of things. And I'm like, yes, because now y'all done got, and I've heard a lot of people say this, they call him the Orange Man. I'm not going to say it because basically this is a YouTube show, and some of the stuff that I'm saying, some of y'all may not like it or some of y'all may not agree with it, but I, as an American citizen, I do have a right, but I try to keep my opinions to a minimum, like I said, because this is a YouTube-based show and people do watch this. Now, I look at it as if this is crazy that people are sitting up here thinking that this was okay. Some people I don't like what she's saying. She's saying stuff, and then a lot of people say she's only saying what Trump is saying. I say she's just looking out for the American citizen. She's looking out for us. I have yet to find a politician, and I said this, and I said I have yet to find a politician who grew up in poverty. Donald Trump grew up in a wealthy family. It wasn't like he grew up and his lights got cut off because they couldn't pay the bill, or he grew up knowing that they had to eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for dinner, or he grew up in a family that didn't know where their next meal was coming from, or he grew up in a family where he got evicted. He grew in a wealthy family, and I can't say the same thing about Kamala, but I would want a president or a politician who grew up struggling and they know how it feels to struggle. Because until you had your first eviction notice, because I've had an eviction notice as well as a younger person, I've had an eviction notice. I grew up when my lights got cut off. I didn't know where my next meal was coming from, and so I grew up in a poverty house. I grew up, where, I didn't know, I grew up in a house where we had to struggle to survive, and I look at it as if I want to hear a president that or a congressman or a mayor or a commissioner or a state representative or a senator or whatever say, I know where the American citizens is coming from. I grew up in a house where I couldn't find I had to find where my next meal is from. I grew up where my lights got cut off and I had to use candles for electricity. A lot of these officials are people who have, they came from wealthy families, I want to know, what do y'all feel about this election? Do you think this election was fair? Do you think it was unfair? Do you think it was poor? Do you think it was excellent? What do y'all think about this? Because I don't think this election was fair. Like I said, you pushed out Joe Biden because of his age and his health. And I agree to a certain extent, like I said, about this. Because I agree that, yes, because of his health issues, he shouldn't have sought re-election. But at the same time, y'all waited until halfway through the campaigning process to say, you need to get away and don't re-elect. You should have did this when y'all first started the election campaign and stuff like that, to say, hey, President Biden, I don't think you need to run again and stuff like that. Even though there probably was speculations running around him that he shouldn't have ran, but the way y'all forced and pushed him at the last minute, See, when the election campaign started, around the election time, when the campaigning and it's time, started, you only said certain things. They were saying, oh no, he need to be, because of his health and age, he don't need to be reelected. But when it came down to the last straw, like the couple of months before the election, they pushed it so hard to where he was forced out. You know, y'all should have said at the beginning, yo, Biden, we really think that you shouldn't reelect, and let Kamala Harris do it. Because then she would have had enough time to say, okay, I can build up my money, I could do my campaigning, this and that. I don't have to be 3 or 4 months before the election. I have to be running around from state to state, not getting no sleep and stuff. And to me, I feel like it wasn't a fair run, but a fair election. But what do y'all think about this? Do you have what's your opinions and views on this presidential election? Do you think Donald Trump won? Do you think did he won fairly? Do you think he won poorly? Do you think that this election was fair? Do you think it was poorly? Do you think it was excellent? What do you think? You know, I give it 2 stars out of 5. And because this is just my opinion. But email me roundtable00@yahoo.com. Also, you can comment at the bottom of this page. I thank y'all for watching this episode, and don't forget to check out my previous episode. And I hope y'all are staying blessed, staying safe, staying hydrated, and comment at the bottom of this page. Email me. Let me know how you feel about this presidential election and what you feel about it. I'm your host, C Money. We are past our ending of our showtime, and I thank y'all for watching, and I will catch you in the next episode. Have a good day.